wondering this morning what impact this economic news of late will have on the election. Well, our next guest, millionaire entrepreneur Eric Greenberg, outlines what's important to voters under 30 in his new book, Generation We, How Millennial Youth Are Taking Over America and Changing Our Lives Forever. Thanks for joining us this morning, Eric. Great to see you.
Thank you.
What a world they're going to be inheriting as we take a look at a lot of the global turmoil right now as it relates to the financial markets. I want to ask you, what's your take on what appears to be this global recession we're in right now?
It's pretty catastrophic. And, 89% of the youth thought their generation thought that they had to take decisive action themselves to reverse the damage. And a year ago when we surveyed them, 46% thought that they were going to inherit a world that's worse off 20 years from now than it is today. Now, if we polled this today, that would be sharply up. So we have a very sober view about what's happening, and a lot of the rhetoric that's being talked is not really pacifying them. What we're seeing is a complete rejection on their part by traditional of the traditional institutions. I don't think it's going to be talk that soothes them. I think it's the iconic part of change, somewhat what we experienced in the 1979 election where Reagan landslided Carter. And, to fix this situation, basically we have a situation of socialism happening in this country. Let's call it what it is. The government is nationalizing debt, it's nationalizing banks, it's nationalizing risks, and we have to bring an end to this speculation. And the young voters understand this.
Are they in favor of that or not?
I right now think everybody's shell-shocked by this. There's not a living person here who was through, who is governing that was actually of age in the Great Depression. I think that they're very sober about their future and they don't really know what it entails for them. So their whole issue is the iconic notion of change. It's not about candidates, but they do know one thing. If you look at the under 30 set, they were 22. The oldest of them was 22 years old when Bush took office, or the current Republican Party had complete control of Congress and the White House. What they've seen is a war, and now they're inheriting the worst economy that we've had in the last, 60 years by everybody's estimations. So for them, change is iconic. It's not necessarily about the candidates or the parties, because, we showed in our polling that over half of them were basically independents.
Right, and we see that growing among the young people. I just want to ask you one quick question about, as we try to look towards solutions, and we're hearing from some of our elected leaders about what the answer to the problem is. You started many businesses. For small business owners right now, people that are fearful about perhaps having to lay off some of their employees and at the same time having trouble meeting payroll because of some of the lending problems, how bad is it going to get for the small business?
I think it's going to be horrible. There's basically no liquidity in the markets. And as you know, a dollar spent has a multiplier effect if you've studied economics. Well, a dollar not spent also has a multiplier effect. So upon economic contraction and the lack of credit and liquidity in the markets, you're going to have a drastic slowdown that's also exacerbated by panic and by psychology. I think the government has to step in and basically go very interventionist right now and nationalize, then privatize. I don't see any other solution. There's one other thing is that, the stock market crash yesterday coincided with a 3-week lift of a ban on short selling, so coincidentally. I think they also have to ban short selling and make complete transparency available for all derivatives and off-balance sheet transactions. I think we have to get to a period of complete clarity so that way we can manage our way through this. The small business, though, is going to take it hardest because when you look at massive consumer demand decreasing, they're the first that are hit. They're the first layoffs that are made, and that's really going to have a multiplier effect.
All right. Eric Greenberg, co-author of Generation We, thanks so much for your input this morning. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
As we watch the global market shrink.